Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Grit and Equity Talks podcast with yours truly, Dr. India White. I'm thrilled to be here with you guys. Happy holiday season. We are super excited. I know so many great things are taking place, and we are still remaining gritty as we're moving forward and finishing up the first half of the school year. With that said, I do want to jump right into this. First things first, the Grit and Equity Talks podcast with Dr. India White will be featured on the X Factor EDU Network, hosted by Dr. Matthew Joseph. You can also find it on Spotify. You can also find it on all of the main social media outlets. I try to spread the message as much as possible. So you'll have my different social media platforms. You have Facebook, it's Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. YouTube is India White 123. TikTok is Dr. India White. And then there's also Blue Sky, where you can check for my account there. In addition, I will invite you to check out my website at www.india-white.com for books, blogs, or to schedule me for an upcoming speaking or coaching event. I'm super thrilled for the events I already have coming up next year. I know the list is continuing to build as we're planning for 2026. And I know that many of you guys are wanting people that are experienced, people that have been through things. And I think that with my humble beginnings of, just overcoming the different hardships as a very vulnerable learner, and then now transitioning into all the different areas of expertise that I've been honored to work with phenomenal leaders across this nation in. I think that, I would love to join many of you guys on your stages or in your schools to really kind of do this work. In addition, please check out the Grassroots Workshops website on grassrootsworkshops.com. I think that's the thing. Just Google Grassroots Workshops, and then you'll be able to find them. My workshop is titled How to Harness Grit to Help Students Thrive. It's really about what is grit and how to make that work for your students. Thank you to those that are open-minded enough to explore that and to take advantage of that opportunity. I know it's helped many people. And I will say that if you're going to do the workshop, you have to enter it with an open mind and be practical about really applying it. I find that, sometimes when you don't really know about a subject, sometimes you can, approach it and be a little bit skeptical. But I think that if you, switch your approach and try something new, you'll get new results. With that said, I do want to also let you guys know about the Grit Academy, and we are still taking tutoring services for students. Thank you to those that have supported me in that, and those that have continued to try to hold my hands up as well as I'm trying to do this work. And those that have joined me in this work, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Again, for this particular podcast, if you're trying to close the achievement gap, but you're having classroom management issues, or your students aren't motivated to do the work, then join me on the Grit and Equity Talks podcast, and we'll talk about various topics, including our topic for today, where we will be talking about grit during the holidays and being gritty during the holidays, because I know that, in my previous days as an educator, it's very common for students to start to burn out, teachers start to burn out, students are taking days off, teachers are taking vacations early, and sick days are being used up because everybody's just kind of tired. There's a sense of a fog over the environment, and people are just over it, and they're ready to just have those couple of weeks off at the end of the school year. So I want to encourage all of you out there to let you know that you're not alone, and we get it. But I also want to remind teachers that, although we already have our education, remember we have to keep the main thing, and we have to remember that our students, they don't necessarily have, their credentials at this time. And so they're relying on us to help build them and to, keep it spicy, keep it interesting so that they can persist and finish. So with that said, let's talk about different tips about how we can be gritty during the holidays. Now, I know some of you are like, there's nothing I can really do because students are clocking out. Students don't want to necessarily be interactive. They don't have a lot of energy. They don't have a lot of interest, right? So there's like a lot of different things going on. So with that said, I do want to kind of like pull up for you and let you know there's a couple of things that, yes, you can do. So first things first, step one, set mini goals instead of big ones. So, when's the last time you were able to really talk with your students and say, okay, this is what I have planned out for you. Maybe you have an entire unit or two left. Instead of giving them all 2 units all in bulk, break it down into maybe a lesson or 2 in a week. If you could push 3, great. I would say make sure that these are realistic goals and that they're not overwhelming for your students, especially in the math classroom, because students are coming to you with different math stories, different math hangups. And so we want to help our students. And I want you to write that somewhere. I want to help my students. I want to help my students. And if you're an administrator, I want to help my teachers. I want to help my teachers. And if that's not your mantra, I don't know. I think there definitely needs to be some introspection and figure out how can you get back to that, right? And so with that said, that's the first thing, is setting those mini goals. I do have a great calendar as well that you guys can use to help you set those goals. So hit me up if you're interested in that. And the second thing is to celebrate small wins of your learners. A lot of the times our students really aren't being celebrated, and their small wins aren't being celebrated. But you have to understand that sometimes it means the world whenever we compliment them. I think there really needs to be a culture of true positivity and complimenting, not fakery and all this, and not favoritism to the point that you only compliment these certain students of this certain subgroup, the certain demographic, the certain linguistic group. But students, all of your students, need to feel like they have been celebrated in your classroom. So I do have an activity that I talk about, which is the grit circle, where I have students go around and give each other a compliment, and teachers go around and give students a compliment. And they talk about how they've been gritty and they've been persevering and persistent and all this. And that's the first thing I thought of when I thought about this, like really celebrating those small wins. Because sometimes, guys, I'm telling you, listen, sometimes these students are going home to environments where they're not being celebrated. For instance, my home, I remember bringing home straight A's several years. And my mom would, just take the report card and just throw it behind her back and tell me to clean the house. She didn't care I made straight A's. And you have to think of the psychological effect that had. But the thing I love about it, though, is that because I knew I didn't have that support, it kind of built a grit in me, so that now, even if I'm in an environment where I don't necessarily have support, I still know I can get the job done. And I think that does kind of set me ahead of some of my, phenomenal peers that I've been able to work with, because I don't always need the pat on the back. That doesn't mean that you get set up in situations that are just not right or unfair or discriminatory or things like that. But what I'm saying is, if you have everything laid out on the table and it's a fair situation, and everybody has set it up where you can win, you should still be able to win without getting pats on the back. But how much more can you win if you do get celebrated? And and so this is why I think that teachers should be celebrating those small wins of their students. And also remember, teachers, in this time that, holiday season, you have kids coming from all walks of life, whether you want them to or not. Some kids celebrate Christmas, some don't. Some celebrate Hanukkah, some celebrate Kwanzaa, some don't celebrate at all. Some students are in rocky situations where it's not a 2-parent home. They're in a vulnerable situation. Some students are in the foster care system. So, we have to be mindful of that as we're servicing all of our students, and not assuming that everybody has this wonderful peaches and cream dynamic that they're dealing with. Also, just because a student who was in the adoption system doesn't make them less than a student that has a 2-parent home. And I think that teachers are a catalyst for making sure the students don't feel like they are less than or inferior because they were coming from a vulnerable situation. Okay. So let's keep going. The next thing I want to talk about is the next step, which is number 3, teaching students to pause and not quit. So many times students feel like there's a pressure that they have to finish everything and all this, and that can feel really overwhelming and make a student feel like they just want to quit because it's just not, you can't accomplish it. And so I think that in that situation, it's imperative that you help a student with goal setting and helping student understand how to really kind of establish realistic goals. So you can say, okay, if I have 10 assignments due, I can get 3 a day done or 2 a day done, and really space these things out. Give them a deadline, timeline. There's nothing worse than a student that is struggling with time management I think time management catches all of us, right? But I think that, as the adult in the room, it's our responsibility to hold students accountable and help them with time management, not in a way to penalize them, but in a way to just help teach them learning lessons. I think also being able to lean off of punishing our students so much. I think we don't want to institutionalize our education experience. We want to really make sure it's homey and comforting and it's uplifting, and that we're leaving students in a better situation than when we receive them. Okay, now I want to talk about the next tip that I had for you guys. So the next tip would be to make math feel relevant for your students in the season. So like I said, pick a holiday. Is it Christmas? Is it Hanukkah? Is it Kwanzaa? Is it nothing? And pick different activities. Maybe the students could do a project, where they can kind of highlight a holiday if they do celebrate it, or highlight something they do in their family or in their, home dynamics. Holiday, highlight something they do enjoy about the month of December. You could do so many different things with your students. So I would encourage you to kind of spice it up and make it fun. If you haven't done a class project, I would highly recommend you do one. I personally think you should have had at least one done by October, but I get off of that. I digress. I think that, everyone should aim to do at least a class project each quarter if you get a chance, because that's just what makes learning so much fun, so much better than just sitting down in a desk and just being bored and staring at a teacher as the teacher's telling you everything. And you have all these questions and all this knowledge built inside of you, and you can't even express yourself because the teacher's not giving you room. So we have to avoid that and do what we can to make sure our classrooms are a safe place for our learners. Okay, now the next thing I want to talk to you guys about today is going to be to make math feel relevant, which we already talked about, but actually peer helping as well. So peer pressure, peer help. So in my studies, I saw how students that had peer support were able to do better academically, but not just my studies. Also, Dr. John Hattie showed us that students can learn not only from the teacher as the number one source, but also from peers. And so I think that it's imperative that we do what we can to really support students in the learning by allowing them to collaborate and work together. Teachers, let me talk to you. It's very tempting to want a quiet classroom that seems like a college library on the third floor. For instance, Go Gators on the Turlington Hall third floor library, or the fifth floor, right? But we have to understand students are coming from different walks of life, different backgrounds, bringing in different experiences. And this, I'm sorry to say, is a very exciting time. It's going to be very hard for you to get a super quiet library classroom. And I think that if you really want to kind of get a punch to your classroom dynamic where your students want to come back to your class and they want to celebrate and they want to really enjoy your class, and you want to be that cool teacher that students don't want to leave their classroom and everybody's in their classroom during lunch, this is how you do it. You take advantage of opportunities like this and you allow students to have activities where they're able to kind of sound like the Kool-Aid man is about to jump through the wall, but it's productive. It's organized fun. And I think those are two words that we need to think about: organized fun. What can you do to ensure that your class can be an organized place where students can work together? You've got Kagan groupings, you have randomization you can do with like popsicle sticks and things like that. There's so many different things that you can do to make sure students are getting what they need, and that they can learn from each other, and that it can remain organized and fun. It does not have to feel like an institution where they're incarcerated and they feel like, they can't talk, they can't move, if they, giggle with their friends, they're being suspended. Come on, guys, get off of it. We got to get off of that. We've got to move towards organized fun where we can really help our students to remain productive. The thing I love about having a fun classroom, and I'm so thankful to God that I know I have had that experience so many times. The thing I love about it is you start to see the personalities really shine through. And you really start to see who like the leaders are. You really start to see just their creativity. You start to see their strengths, and you start to see how they support those that are weak among them, whether it's intellectually or, whatever. And then you start to see them care for one another and even other areas of life. I mean, and then you start to hear them really pour out and open up to even you about other things that you had no idea, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But the thing is, I tell you, the more these kids trust you and open up to you, they will come to you with not only the awesome stuff, but with the ugly, yucky stuff too. And that's how you really know you're doing your job, when a student trusts you and they can say, hey, miss, or hey, sir, I've got this situation and I need your help. So I know we're going after a project, but you can get so much more whenever you help your students and you really allow them to work, with their peers. So keep that in mind. There are behavioral norms, right? And there's like the CHAMPS behavior and conversation levels that you could teach your students. I would highly recommend that. I swear by that because it works. It works. Why reinvent the wheel? It's already there. I also have, by the way, I do have a store on Teachers Pay Teachers. So you can go and look up my store, which has a lot of grit stuff and a lot of different activities, and has my classroom system that I used in the classroom that was very effective for several years. So feel free to chime into Teachers Pay Teachers and go there and check out my store. So thanks to those that support me in that. I'm so sorry I forgot to mention that. And I'm super excited about that. So anyway, with that said, I do want to now share my screen. I want to show you guys 2 articles that I was able to find. That's going to help us when it comes down to really motivating our students and motivating each other in this time, just especially during the holidays. So this one here, it's talking about how to really motivate students during the holidays. I thought it was pretty cool. So I hope you guys can use something from this. It has a couple tips. This came from Crenshaw Academy. Give them their flowers. They wrote this last year. So they're saying here that a holiday season is a time for relaxation, family, and celebration. However, it's also a time away from school, and it can present challenges, and it comes down to maintaining academic motivation. So it says, this article provides parents and caregivers with strategies to keep students motivated. So why do students first lose their academic focus during the holidays? Well, first things first, there's excitement and distractions, right? They know that they're about to take a vacation. They're about to go on some cruises with the family, whatever. There's routine disruptions, lack of a daily schedule. Sometimes you have different drills and things at the school that kind of sets things off, right? You have end of the semester fatigue. People are just tired. They just want to break. Procrastination. They want to submit 26 assignments tomorrow, right? And then also peer influence. And like I said before, peer support, peer influence is so powerful. If you don't think I'm lying, if you don't think I'm telling the truth, think about the really goody two shoes kids that get in the wrong crowd. And then all of a sudden you're praying that they turn out, to remain that goody two shoes kid. And that the wrong crowd didn't rub off on them in the wrong way. All right, so listen. So they're talking about now, how can holidays create opportunities for meaningful learning? You've got situations here where Thanksgiving can bring out math, history, and gratitude. So they talk about Native American culture, represent. I am Seminole Indian, so go Seminole Indians, the tribe, not the football team. And kudos to the Gators, by the way. But anyways, you've got the Native American culture and early settlers. And then you have here Christmas. It brings out creativity and cultural exploration. You've got families that can explore traditions of various cultures, which is really neat. There's a couple of Cahoots teachers that you can look up for holidays and different holiday songs, different holiday themes that you can do with your students as well. So I'm going to encourage you that. And I also have some great Cahoots too, for those that like Kahoot. All right, next, New Year's. You've got reflection, planning, and goal setting. New Year's is a natural time for reflection and goal setting, encouraging your students to create a vision board for the coming year, writing down personal goals. This is fabulous because you always want to be forward thinking. And sometimes students have so much and they're just bogged down. They just need a little bit of support, a little bit of help to kind of organize those thoughts and see the greatness in them. And so you can be the catalyst to help bring that out. All right, let's keep it going, rock stars. So now they're talking about the strategies that will keep our students motivated. So strategy 1, it says, let's establish a flexible routine. So they have an example here. Look at this here. So it says morning, quiet reading time or journaling. Afternoon can be hands-on activities or baking, such as baking or crafting. And then evening, you can do family board games like Monopoly. Who doesn't like Monopoly? Or who doesn't like Jenga, right? Which, speaking of that, I need to sharpen my skills because the holidays are here and I need to show people what it's all about. Anyway, Number 2 here, it says set small, achievable goals. Help your children set manageable goals that align to their interests. Step 3, incorporate learning into holiday activities, which we should already be doing. So again, incorporating learning into holiday activities. You've got students writing. You can write a holiday-themed story, poem, or thank you notes. That's really good. Math, involve them in budgeting for gifts. That's excellent, right? Can you afford to get the Xbox and that pair of Air Jordans? And then, of course, science, trying winter-themed scientist experiments. Okay, how different liquids affect candy canes. That's pretty cool. Step 4, they say you can engage in family learning experiences. So create memories, right? Take nature rocks and things like that, trivia games. Okay, pulling out Super Mario Brothers 3, letting those kids play. All right, next, encouraging community engagement. So what's going on in the community? What's going on in your neighborhood? What are you guys doing? Do you have like a day where everybody's like painting or, walking around the park, cleaning up I don't know. There's so many different things, right? And so then it's talking about here, you can also make sure that you're managing your holiday stress and avoiding burnout. Okay. That's huge. Using visual planners, celebrating small wins, encouraging mindfulness practices, and then taking breaks. I thought that was absolutely fabulous. So thank you so much to Crenshaw Academy for sharing that with us. So that was pretty cool. And so I hope you guys are able to see that. But now I'm going to show us another. And again, that was Crenshaw Academy. So let's try this next one. All right. So this one now is dealing with Texas Instruments, and they're talking about 12 days of fun, holiday math activities. And so they're saying here, holiday season is here, right? So I thought this was really neat when I looked at it, and I really dorked out, and I hope that you guys can dork out with me. So this first one here is a piecewise, the bow tie penguin. Look here, look at the calculator screen. So looks like they've made some type of penguin, and then they have like a bow tie on the penguin face. Isn't that cute? And so they have the activities on this page. So again, this is titled Bulletin Board Blog 12 Days of Fun. This was last year, but it's still good for all you dorks and all those that are using graphing calculators. Here you go. Here it says so much fun with coloring pages. And see, this is like where we should be aspiring to get our kids to, so that they can use these type of really cool activities. I think they deserve it. Why not? And then here, deck the halls with peaceful-eyed lights. They've got a lighting situation going on here in a different formulas, whatever. And they're able to draw these different things with the formulas. I think that's so dorky and awesome. Next, they have a wintry hat with math. That's pretty cool. Then they have a Dawn do-it-yourself holiday apparel. This next one here says show off some flair with some stickers. Look at that. It looks like a little like y equals negative x to the fourth graph, looks like. And then or it could be like a sine or a cosine, whatever. It depends on whatever you want. It looks like, it's a negative x to the fourth graph. I see that. Go Gators. So they have that. And then they have like all the little red dots, which are like Christmas lights, that kind of like hanging up like a string of lights kind of ordeal. Then they have Jingle All the Way with coding. So it looks like they have songs, Let It Snow, and it says on your TI-84 Plus, which, by the way, I think is the best calculator, to be honest. And I know there are so many others that they made, but there was something about when the TI-84 Plus came out, and all you math dorks know what I'm talking about. And, if you had to keep it real, there was something about that TI-84 graphing calculator when it first came out, especially the pink copy, girl power. So with that said, that was really neat just to kind of go over those with you guys, to talk about the holiday season. And I also want to just encourage you guys again, please be sensitive in this holiday season. You guys know my story. I've told it a million times. I'm still telling the story, even though people have told me to not tell the story. But I like to tell the story because it helps so many people. My Christmas Eve was pretty wild. My mom, God bless her lovely soul, did her best. But, during that time, I became a student that was homeless and I was kicked out of the house. Did not know what I did. I came home from work at Publix and boom, I'm on the streets. So I had a 4.1 GPA. It just didn't make sense. And so life is happening out there for our students. As they say, life be lifing, right? So you don't know what your students are going through. Even if they have a 2-parent home, you don't know what they might be enduring inside those 4 walls. So please be sensitive. Please keep your ears open as educators and leaders to what students are saying. Be aware of what they're posting on social media. Be aware of the little signs of depressions or whatever marks that might be on them or whatever. And please, if you have to, report it, because we are mandated reporters. And so I hope that nothing crazy is happening with your kiddos. I hope that everybody has a fabulous holiday season. But at the same time, I did want to kind of give you guys that plug to say, in this time, please be mindful of your students. And so with that said, thank you so much for joining me on the show. Please keep me posted on the great things that you have going on. And I wish you guys a great holiday season, whatever holidays you choose to celebrate. Again, this is the Grit and Equity Talks podcast. And I appreciate you guys joining me on this. In this podcast, it will be featured on the X Factor EDU network, hosted by Dr. Matthew Joseph, who's got so many great things going on over there, and hosted on Spotify and all of my social media outlets as well. I appreciate your acceptance of it. I appreciate you guys helping me to spread the message of grit. We're going to keep being gritty, no matter those that might rise up against it, because I know grit works, and you know that grit works, and that's all that matters. Next, I want you to follow me on Facebook. It's Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indy Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indy238. YouTube is India White 123. TikTok is Dr. India White, and Blue Sky is, I think Blue Sky is Dr. India White or Indy238 or something. It's one of those. I'm so sorry, guys. I know I have a million channels. Just trying to reach all y'all. And so with that said, I also want you to check out the website, www.india-white.com, for books, blogs, or to schedule me for a speaking or coaching event. Thank you to those that have already been calling me and putting me on your calendars for this school year. I appreciate you. I appreciate those that are, allowing me to join, in the ring with other great, phenomenal leaders across this nation. With that said, and I'll wait to announce those events for next year, because I'm super excited about them. But, I want to keep 2026 and 2026 kind of. So, all right, next, the Grit Mini Workshop, Grassroots Workshops website. Please check it out whenever you get a chance. Support us in this effort. We're just trying to spread the message of grit. Please just be open-minded, be open. If you're like, oh, I don't know what grit is, I don't really understand it, then this would be the perfect website for you, or the perfect workshop, for you. If you can keep an open mind, and if you really try to apply the information in it, you'll do well. But if you come to the table with any other kind of mindset, then I can see how it might be a little bit where you're just not able to really get it, because you have so many other things blocking your ability to really process it. And I hope that's not the case for you. I hope that you're really able to take grit and thrive. All right, next, you have the Grit Academy. It's an online tutoring opportunity for you guys. So please send your kiddos my way. I'm super excited about all the reports of kids getting into their dream colleges and getting accepted and passing exams and being able to graduate. And even kids have graduated college after I've been able to work with them. I actually just recently had a kid that I ran into who he actually is an attorney, and he came by and said, hey, I think you were my teacher. It turns out I was his teacher. And now he's an attorney. So I think that's pretty cool. So, I'm just grateful to be able to pay it forward. So send your kiddos my way. And so with that said, again, this particular podcast is if you were trying to close the achievement gap, but you're having classroom management issues, or students aren't motivated to do the work, you can always join me here on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about it. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast, then you could come and join me as well, and we could talk about so many great things. Please remember to check out my website for all those different books. I have different grit journals that I've just produced for you guys, different grit workbooks. We also have just different webinars and different master classes on the website as well. And, if you're wanting like a grit poster for your classroom, things like that, please do not hesitate. We are here for you. And if you are a corporate leader and you're wanting to build grit in your corporate team, then please feel free to send me a message as well. You can email me at india.white.123@gmail.com, and we will get you squared away. And so thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all so much. You're amazing. Until next time, stay gritty. See ya.